What is up, all of my homies around the world? It is episode 40 of the 421. It struck me that this is Salty's longest running series.
Oh yeah.
Well, as far as episode content,
pretty sure it's been Salty's. No, yeah, when we passed Bendy,
maybe
was Bendy the longest.
I have no idea.
Maybe Cuphead. I think Cuphead might have been the longest.
However, the oldest, if you're going the longest running chronologically, I guess it would be Meat Boy, because you and Chia shot some extra episodes after you stopped playing it the first time around.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we've put those out. We just haven't played.
Yeah, exactly. I'm saying chronologically, the longest running series in Salty.
Oh yeah, well,
would be Meat Boy.
I guess.
Or Isaac.
I mean, I guess you're right. Well, Isaac is never going to end. Isaac's going to get a comeback whenever Revelations comes out, and then we're just never going to touch it like for Salty again. That brings out the worst in us.
See, I want to finish my current save file before Revelation comes out, because I'm only one achievement away.
I play too much Monster Train to worry about that.
Yeah, me too. What Covenant rank are you up to?
I can't remember. I think I'm at like 13 or something.
That's good. I think I'm still at where I was last time.
I definitely beat where you were whenever I first started playing the game.
For those of you who don't know, Monster Train is a wonderful roguelike deck builder in which you try to carry a shard of hell back into hell itself to reignite your ancestral home.
You might be seeing it in November if certain things happen. Just throwing it out there.
It's a really good game. It was touted as like the bless you, as the spiritual successor to Slay the Spire, or I guess the best roguelike card builder since Slay the Spire, which is also a game that I love and play almost every day.
I should try it more. I only played it once. I don't know. The tower defense aspect of Monster Train is what gets me.
Yeah, it combines a lot of elements into a cohesive game very well.
Yeah.
But that's not what we're talking about today. But before we can get to what we're talking about today, first of all, we got to get them tasty jams of the week. And we just listened to Dice's.
Yeah, I got the best one.
3 minutes and 15 seconds ago. Go ahead, lay it on us. What's your tasty jam?
My tasty jam of the week is Ninja Sex Party's new song, Thunder and Lightning. It is fantastic. The music video is so freaking funny. It reminds me of a show called Super Mansion. It was on Crackle for a bit. And then I think it was on Adult Swim for a while as well. It's from the people who made Robot Chicken. It is so fun. The video is so good. Danny and Brian kill it just like normal. I didn't know they made Under the Covers 3.
Yeah.
Because I really just didn't pay attention to the cover song. I love them so much more when they're making original music. Danny has an amazing voice, and I think he does all his cover songs very well, but I think they are in their prime when they are just making their music.
The way that I look at it is that the cover albums pay for the original albums.
That's fair, but they were making money off those original albums before they did the covers.
I'm saying I'd have to go back and look through the discography, but I'd be willing to bet their covers albums sell better than their original content because there's a bigger market for it.
Maybe, but
it's the exact same reason why you see so many fucking cover bands on YouTube.
Yeah, because you could buy it and then show it to mommy and daddy and be like, "Look, they did your songs. Do you remember? And they're really good." And then you're like, "Okay, let's listen to more NSP." And then it's 3 minutes of ecstasy.
Man, I did that so much.
What, 3 minutes of ecstasy? No, that's some weak shit, my dude.
No, I've only done ecstasy once, and it was a very, very, very long time ago.
Oh, I did not know that about yourself.
Very, very, very. I don't remember the incident. Well, I remember enough of it, but it was a very long time ago.
Do you want to take your clothes off?
No, I did not take my clothes off.
Myth. Proven myth.
I mean, I didn't want to. I was...
Anyway.
Either way, what was the point I was going to make about goddamn thunder and lightning? Oh, what I was trying to refer to was what I did before, not 3 minutes of ecstasy.
Well, apparently you have.
I would show my parents a clean song that an artist had done if I wanted to buy like the album that it came on. So like what's a good? I'm trying to think of a good example.
Eminem.
I never owned an Eminem album. I did let for some reason. So it was CBD, Christian Books or Christian Book Distributors, and they had a
not
store
CBD, that discount weed that people smoke.
No, but they had like magazine leaflets that you could order CDs from, and for some reason there was a DMX CD in that thing. It was edited So like it was censored, but like for some reason the I can't remember what the album's called, but it's X Gon Give It To You, Rough Riders. Like that album was in a Christian bookseller's thing, and I was like, Mom, can I buy this? He's a Christian rapper. And she didn't know any better. She was like, yeah, save up your allowance and you can get it. I think I did it with a Ludacris album. I may have showed her Runaway Love to be able to buy that whole album.
Yeah.
Release Therapy? That's not right.
I don't know.
I can't remember that album name.
I remember at some point in my life I had to sneak music and things like that, and I wasn't allowed to listen to something, but it was so young that like once I became 12 or something like that, it just didn't exist. My mom would just get mad at FYE for me being able to just walk in and buy Insane Clown Posse music when they have the big parental label on the front of it. And I'm just walking out with like, Mom, they released the new Insane Clown Posse CD. And she was like, you're 13. How did you buy that? And I was like, money?
How do you buy shit, Mom?
I cut what's her name's grass the other day. She gave me $15 and ICP's not that popular, so they sell it for $12.
But now we're older and we can buy our own music and we can consume wonderful things without showing our parents the cover albums first.
Yeah, no. You could just do whatever you want.
But no, I'm very excited for the album release. It is coming out October 16th, I believe.
Super excited. It looks so good.
They've released Thunder and Lightning off of it. They've released The Magic Crystal,
which I went back and listened to. I realized,
can't wait for that video.
I have realized it only takes NSP to drop one song, and I go back and listen to their entire discography. At one song, and I'm like, all right, let's go back and listen to Cool Patrol. All right, let's go back and listen to this.
And I think it's because comedy music kind of sits in this place where, like, we binge things. That's what we do. We binge things, and then we let them go musically and, like, with television and movies and stuff. I think comedy rock sits in this place where I binge it, and then I don't want to go back to it because it's when I want to listen to music, I don't want to listen to joke music. I need to be like in a certain place for that. And then as soon as, not a joke band, but like as soon as a comedy band puts out another track, that puts me back in that mindset of like, oh man, I want to go back and listen to 6969 for the umpteenth millionth time.
And they're always good. I don't know. There's like even, what was one of their songs that I used to not like as much has grown on me a lot.
Heart Boner?
Well, it was actually Unexpected Boner, or the one where God damn it, I can't remember the name. Because he says it in the chorus a lot, but it was...
I don't think I know.
No Reason Boner, that's it.
I don't think I know that one.
It has a really like upbeat thing, and he's just like kind of jazzy dancing. It's off their first album. So it was No Reason Boner. I used to not like it as much. I thought it was just really like, it's gimmicky. But after like the fifth listen, you're like, okay, it's catchy.
There are definitely times that comedy songs don't hit, though.
But NSP is very rare for me.
Yeah, they generally do a good job, and I think it's because they're also such brilliant musicians. That really lends to the listenability and replayability of a song.
Which goes back to, like I said, the only time I ever turn off NSP sometimes is if it's their covers.
And NSP normally, like in a studio, they'll bring in twerp a lot.
Yeah.
And twerp is one of those instrumental, like normally with an instrumental band, I can listen to it so much, and then I have to be in a specific mood.
Okay, let's do it all and listen to the lyrics.
It's good for like background music. Like when I'm playing a video game, I'll throw on some twerp sometimes. But like I can't replay that very much. But the fact that they're all such brilliant musicians, I listen to them more often than I would listen to other instrumental stuff. And then when these two just team up, it's so good.
If it wasn't for NSP, I wouldn't know who twerp was.
Do you?
I'm being honest. It's just my honesty.
I agree, and I'm in that exact same boat. But it was kind of like with my Tasty Jam, how I found Spillage Village, and through that, I found a bunch of other artists. What's that? A segue into My Tasty Jam? You bet it is.
It's not a segue if you said like My Tasty Jam.
My Tasty Jam of the week is called Black Truck -Extended by Maraba. So she was a singer on Spillage Village. If you remember the song she did about getting high with a dude and being in love. But this entire project, The Jungle is the Only Way Out, is a lot darker than I expected. It's the best way to compare it. So she's like, I would say she's an R&B singer, but you know how there's like country and then there's like that deep South Gothic country?
Yeah.
She is like the deep South Gothic country of R&B on this album. The beats all kind of fall away to just let her play with space on top of it, which is something that if you've been listening to any of these music reviews, I love it when they let the vocalist just have space to play with what they want. They did it really well with Lord, Elohim, and the one that everybody hates on these days, Billie Eilish.
Hate song. All I ever hear is love for Billie Eilish.
Yeah, but Billie Eilish is a Nickelback to not a Nickelback extent. People love to hate on Billie Eilish.
Oh, I just personally don't like her music, but I have no problem with her.
Yeah.
But I guess that is the same as Nickelback. Chad Kroger's done nothing to piss me off. He just is in Nickelback.
But very, very, very similar production style there. She also interposes a lot of most albums that I've heard her on have been like specifically rap projects.
Yeah.
This was my first time actually just hearing her like singing her own shit, and it is so beautiful. She has like a deeper register, which always kind of shines through in like jazzy as well as these like deep R&B tones that are weaved in through production. And she also interweaves a lot of her poetry into it. Black Truck actually is you know how there's like on every album, there are 3 songs that just fit so well together that if you ever want someone to like the album, you're like, listen to this song and then the one after that and the one after that.
Yeah.
Like somehow, some way, there is always a set of 3 songs that just kind of mesh so well together. And in this case, it is Black Truck. And then it goes into, I can't remember what the song is called, which sucks. It has to do with the devil. But it's like it's a 2-minute long poem. And the first time I heard it, I was, I believe I was playing some Slay the Spire actually, and I Black Truck played the whole way through, and I was like, whoa, that's my tasty jam, and I started like jotting down a couple of notes about it, and then I just heard the spoken word start, and I was like, oh, okay. The gist of the entire poetry track is that, like the devil trying to coerce you into giving your gifts back to him in for the trade instead of using it in your own path for your like own glory or for the glory of another higher being, so to speak. But it's super powerful. When I heard the spoken word track, I immediately stopped what I was doing and just listened, and then went back and started playing it over again. I was like, no, I want to play Black Truck over again first, and then we'll keep going. So my tasty jam is Black Truck Extended by Meribah. She went by Marion Meribah in the past. If you want another really good song off of that album, I think it's like The Jungle Is the Only Way Out, or The Only Way Through Is the Jungle. It's one of those. But she also did a song with JID, which is how I found this album, admittedly. But he doesn't rap. He sings. And it's not singing, I'll admit, but it's like he holds his tune, and the way that their voices just kind of sit right on top of each other is so soothing, relaxing. But that song is called Sandstorm. There's a music video out for it on YouTube if you'd like to go listen to it. But that's my tasty jam, baby.
And since it is Halloween and we're only doing a couple of these podcasts, don't freak up the microphone.
Don't freak up the microphone.
I've gotten the approval of Jayne. I am going to do a horrorcore pick of the week, being that I know Jayne has recently got in.
I forgot about this. I thought you were going to go into the next segment.
No, I'm sorry. I know Jayne has got into Ari, Rugged Man, and a couple of other somewhat horrorcore artists over the time, but I have been a deep fan of horrorcore for many years of my life, so I'm going to pick from a couple of classics that I love and some of the ones that I always listen to come this time of season. And the number one that always comes into my head is Pumpkin Carvers by Insane Clown Posse, Twisted, and Cottonmouth Kings.
That's a lineup.
That is a lineup. It may not. You may hear those names and go, "Oh, that's some 1990s, early 2000s bullshit." But that is a hell of a lineup in the underground, and
you may be right, but it is a hell of a lineup.
It is a fantastic song. I think it's so funny. Violent J does the first 2 verses. It basically instructs you how to carve your pumpkins correctly for Halloween, and it is fantastically done. And then Twisted and Cottonmouth King come in and do their thing and kill every verse that they touch. I think it's specifically from Cottonmouth. I think it's Johnny Richter, and I can't remember. It's one of the 5 before they all split up.
Andy Richter was in Cottonmouth Kings.
Johnny Richter. I can't remember the other guy's name though, but it's a fantastic listen to. I don't know if it'll make tasty jams, but if you're looking for something horrifying to freak your friends out, play some Pumpkin Carvers. And the next podcast we do, I'll have another horror pick from non-Juggalo communities. Yay! And the 3D spiders, okay. Yay! It was my favorite bit.
I hope y'all enjoyed that collector review. I really want to watch the second one.
I mean, we should definitely watch the collection. I'm down to just watch the collection. I don't even care if we review it.
Oh, I think we should review it.
We should review it then.
You know, if we enjoy things, we should turn it into content so that we love it and that it stays in perpetuity.
All right, next week we'll have the collection ready.
Oh, hot damn.
This is my jam.
Keep it partying to the you're editing that movie review.
No.
Yeah.
What if I'm doing Saturdays?
We'll see. Anyways, not with Salty Dogs 4 currently in production.
Not Mr. Oh, it's not going to be as bad as you think. That's what you told me anyway.
What are we doing this week on the podcast?
This week we are delving back into one of the things we have done before with what was it called? Weekend at Salty's. Instead, we took a horror movie we took a movie that we had never knew the plot for really and just butchered it and made it into our own thing. This week we are going to be taking not necessarily a horror movie that none of us know, but we are going to create our own horror movie, so to speak, but it's more of a salty comedy meets a horror world.
Yeah, I believe the way that Dice described it to me was there is a horror movie happening in the background, but because the story is focused on us, you see the comedy aspects of it.
Mm-hmm. That's the way I see it, is that we would be so oblivious as the Salty members of the crew that we're only worried about trying to make Salty big, much like in the last movie, even though we had already a decent following, which you have to believe for this one too.
Yeah. So we threw a whole festival because people loved us, so
Just work with us. This might be a little bit of a prequel depending on the way some of it goes. But
oh man, we are setting up the Salty movie universe.
Oh yeah, we are. So this will not be based off any previous movie. However, there is a catch that we are doing.
That's right.
We have selected 5 horror movie tropes that we have to somehow incorporate into our movie. They are very classic, very cliche, and most of the people in the world are sick of them. In fact, one of them we even credited the collector for not having. So we are going to, this probably will end up being another 2-part podcast, so be tuned for that through October for the movie. Oddtober. Mm-hmm. But the 5 movie tropes are, Jane Cobb, go.
1, haunted house. Haunted house that's been abandoned for a long time.
A house that has a haunted experience in it.
Man is the scariest monster of them all. The final girl. Jump scares. And the or is it ending. I think those are the 5 that we're going to start with. If we can shoehorn any extra tropes in there, we're absolutely gonna.
Yeah.
If there's any on that list that you would like to hear on the next podcast, throw them down in the comments.
Yeah, we will be able to see the results of this podcast before the next podcast. It's rare, but we will get to see it this time. So if there's any tropes you want us to add into the ending of the movie, let us know.
Absolutely. So I think the first one is pretty easy to get to. A house with a haunted experience in it.
Well, we don't have to go straight for the tropes. We can set up our main characters and cast. I think the hardest part is going to be, and the hardest trope for us to tackle with it being 5 people in Salty, is the final girl trope.
Who can we? That means we're gonna have to enlist somebody else into our party. There are a couple, we could. What about all of our significant others as a last girls trope?
It could be the final girls trope where the Salty boys get kidnapped and then it falls on them and they. Well, we can't die.
We could.
We're the comedy. You can't kill the comedy. Well, we're like the 4th ones to die then. You don't kill the comedy character until the movie really kicks into serious shit.
I'm gonna start I'm gonna Google Final Girl and see if anybody else has bent it in a way that we could probably trope out.
I think the thing that South Park the game did for the
Final Girl is actually a film.
Oh yeah,
it's just called Final Girl,
and it probably does all the tropes of Final Girl. I think one of my favorite versions of it, South Park, Fractured But Whole, does a horror movie like Camp Sleepaway type shit, and they go in and give you the powers of the final girl, and you have like all these mixed tropes from like Freddy Krueger, Michael Myers, Jason, and things like that.
So I think the big part of the final girl that we need to hit on is that they are the last one standing because of, according to this article, implied moral superiority. For example, she is the only one who refuses sex, drugs, or other such behaviors, unlike her friends, and that's why they die instead of her.
Oh yeah, that's old 80s
So-
tropey.
So, I mean, who is the holiest amongst the people that we could bring along?
Outside of the crew?
Yeah, I mean, either that or we could have who's the holiest amongst the crew.
Xander?
I kind of like the idea of Xander being the last one, especially if Xander carries about him this air of like nonchalance, I'll say. So I feel like if Xander is the final girl, it kind of adds to the comedy aspect of that scene of like there's all this tragic stuff happening. Maybe in the very last scene, like we are all lying like in a bloody pentagram in a ritual and our entrails are spilled out and he just kind of walks in and goes, "Sorry, I thought we were filming in here," and then just walks out. Like, I feel like that air of nonchalance would be great because, like, otherwise,
It's an air of nonchalance, but the final girl is the thing that stands between the killer and him winning.
which is also why I think it would be funny if he was the one to kill the killer,
Okay.
because it would definitely have to happen accidentally, because we're not involved, quote unquote, with any of it. It's with it, everything is reactionary.
So I wasn't even planning on killing off Salty members, but all four of us are going to happen onto our death, I guess.
Oh, that was kind of my thought going into it. But if you want everybody to survive, we can.
If we were painting it as if we're painting a universe, or was this just a standalone thing? Because you had brought up universe.
Yeah, maybe this is one of their standard, like, you know how the Simpsons does their House of Horror episode and it's out of canon.
Salty of horror, Treehouse of Salt Horror, Salt Mines of Horror.
I hate it all.
I hate it all.
Yeah, I don't think this is a canon adventure. What I will say though is if we set it up that we go into this abandoned house, then it's very easy to just have people disappear into rooms or through trap shoots. But I guess, did you really have a vision of like what was going to set off the horrific events?
So if we kill off Salty members, that should be the climax. Salty members shouldn't start dropping until the end. Like maybe there is a chain of events that has. So my original thought was that somehow through some way, we are shooting Salty Talk 16 or something like that. And so by 16, we have to be popular enough that we can shoot on abandoned grave sites and shit. Just letting people know.
Oh,
So
I mean, we can do that anytime.
get it done, but
Depends
with
if we get
permission.
caught. Oh,
But anyway, so like we shooting Salty 16, we happen upon something like some mysterious effigy or something like that. My excitedness knocks it over or something. Somebody knocks it over in one of our tropey typical attitudes.
so you don't want a haunted house movie. It sounds like you want different locations and bad things just follow us where we go.
Well, we could be exploring the haunted house that yeah, but no, my original.
But it's not a haunted house movie.
No, my original thought was like one of the funniest things I thought in my head was like as a background shot, maybe during a montage scene or something like that of us trying to get stuff together. Like we stop at McDonald's to order something and like the beings in the background literally ripping somebody to shreds and we're just like ordering stuff while the camera sees it. Just simple things like that. Stuff that like if like we go up to get a patent from somebody who is denying us vehemently and the effigy, whatever we summoned, sees that, kills it as a part of its ritual, and then its son becomes the head person of it, and they really like Salty, so they give us anything we want. And just things seem to work out in our benefit, but we have no idea what's going on.
Okay, so then, I mean, it sounds like the characters are just ourselves.
Oh yeah. Just much like Salty. Every time we make a movie, I want Salty to just be, well, at least me and you of Salty to be ourselves. This time, I think we incorporate everybody, and Salty is just being us working together, and then we just play off other characters. Xander's not going to be everybody in this movie. I want a monster movie. I'm thinking maybe something that like works in a hive mind deal, something that can like possess people.
Ooh, I like hive minds.
Even if we could like maybe have them, I don't know, like take their spots with like if a person would go missing, like maybe instead of having everybody in Salty die at the end for the big climax, we could periodically replace people with changelings.
when they disappear, do they die, or is there a scene at the end where they have to confront their mirror selves and choose and figure out, suss out who are the killers
We
among
could
us?
just play Among Us at the end. Xander's the only non-traitor.
You know what? That's reaching a little bit farther into the future of the movie. That sounds like a second episode of the podcast.
Yeah,
type thing that we can decide.
We gotta establish the
But I
world
like-
and everything.
I like it's essentially like it's a hive mind. It either takes over the bodies or it replaces them with something.
So to incorporate a haunted house, we could have Salty Talk 16 is being shot. The guys are getting ready. Everybody is kind of collecting their things, and we find out that we have to go. Whoever would be hosting this one.
Cinematic or found footage?
I feel like more. You mean in general, or for like the whole shoot?
Yeah, like obviously we can intercut between the two. I'm saying like Blair Witch was all quote unquote found footage,
What would be cool?
whereas The Collector was cinematic.
What would be cool is when it's appropriate for the GoPro or something like that to be on for the shoot, we would get that found footage look at things. But when the camera's off, we would have the cinematic shots.
I can dig it.
Because I would never I would never want to market a movie as found footage completely. It makes me sick. But
Do you just not like found footage films?
I like them. Like, I get them. It's just like much like with the Hamilton review we did, I want to see what's going on that the people wanted me to see. And even if you only want me to see this little bit, that's not what I want to see. Personally, that's a personal thing. A lot of found footage movies do a way to it. And I don't mind found footage shots, but I don't want the whole thing because, like, I like establishing shots. And not to mention in comedy, it's hard to do comedy with found footage.
Fair. I would argue that the pilot for Always Sunny looked pretty much like found footage. It was on that camcorder, but
Well,
they got a whole
you
show.
work
out of it.
with
It
what
was a
you
great
got,
show.
man.
Yeah, exactly, and they made it big. So we can definitely set it up to start in like you said, the haunted house is what triggers it. So we're getting ready for Salty Talk 16. Who's hosting it? What is it? Obviously, it's something we would have to go into a haunted house for. Are we just shooting like a Halloween special?
So what it could be is maybe you're hosting, but I go out and scope the place first. I go out, I scope the place, I trigger something, the thing gets my scent. And then through the movie, at some point, I will get replaced. And then it could, through the fact of it following me and trying to, because I don't assume it would attack me right there. I would assume that it gets my scent. Like, I don't want it to be like immediately replaced in the first two scenes or something like that. I want it to kind of establish it. It tracks. It's
smarter.
and then
It's a hunter, not a berserker, so to speak.
or even if we have to establish that maybe it has to somehow earn your trust before it could do anything to you. No, maybe
Weird.
it is, but
How
like,
would it gain your? How would an entity such as that gain your trust?
well, if it's a changeling thing, it could just
So there has to be another. At that point, there's another external character.
somebody we randomly meet.
Is there a butler in the house? Is the house actually abandoned, or is it just haunted? We
Could be some. It could be some shining shit where I go in and maybe I start losing my mind a little bit, so I hallucinate the butler, or the entity takes the form of
Ooh.
the butler, and I think I'm going crazy, so I get out, and then I just start kind of seeing it like the butler can take form of people.
So
maybe
I think
hold up.
something. So I think
'Cause I want people dying in the background.
what?
Because I still want those shots of like people dying in the background while we're doing things.
Yeah. So throwing it out there, what if this haunted house is a tourist trap, and it's the very end of the season, and so we go in and we're like, hey. We would love to film on your location. It's nearing the end of the season. We wouldn't put the video out until it's done, but we know you guys do like these fun haunted tours. And there's actually there's actually people there because then that establishes kind of the hive mind state. And then we don't have to say necessarily how the hive mind got in, but you go scope the place out while the hive mind is just starting to take root. And so it's like slowly like starting to pick people off and then replace certain people. And then it would be that it catches your scent, but it doesn't attack you because there's nothing that it could do at that moment. When we return and you bring 4 more people, maybe a week later, that could establish that, some of these people are turned, some of them may not be. but we definitely know like it wouldn't be a butler in this case. It would be a what are they called? A tour operator, I guess. Who like actually conducts the tours and takes you through, and then they would be like the entire film. You're guessing is this person trying to kill the crew, or is this person like do they know what's going on, and are they trying to stop it? The only thing that I don't necessarily like that is that we're veering away from the comedy aspect of it.
It's a lot harder than we thought it'd be.
I warned you. The other thought could be you go in, there's just one person there, and you say, hey, we would love to film at your location. We're planning this kind of like spooky Halloween shoot, and it's just like an old estate or old manor. And the butler is there, and he takes you through, and he shows you the room, and it's that old trope of, but no matter what you do, don't go into that room. And then you obviously, like, the butler goes downstairs, the phone's ringing, he's like, I'll be right back. You go and you look inside the room, and there is... It could be like a sacred urn that's holding the ashes of some undead beast. It could be... I kind of like the idea of like we establish like a ghostly shapeshifter, because then what I like is like, what if it's like a jar of sand? Or a jar of ashes, I guess I already said. You push it over, the ashes fall on the floor, and you're like, oh, shit. You run out real quick, you shut the door behind you, the butler comes back up and says, no good, sir. And like, yeah, I think this place is great if you're willing to let us shoot here, blah, 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 blah. And then, we get the shot of you pulling out, and then you see the ashes, like, in the background, you can see the ashes, like, mist go through a window and then go in through, like, your AC vents. Because then what it does is that it starts infecting you, and the only job that it wants you to do is to bring more people back to it, because now you have freed it.
Okay.
I know I did a lot of talking there. There was a lot of ideas thrown out.
So it's essentially a hive mind of sand, or the ancient
It's a hive mind, but the elder brain, so to speak, was trapped in that jar. Instead of ash, it could be more of a jelly-like substance, because I feel like that gives more elder brain feel.
So what I would like is like, I would still like the creature itself to have a form, even if it's just like cased in sand or shadow the entire time. Maybe we never fully see the creature, but like as the sand whips out of the building and into some of the sand whips out and into my AC unit, and I start breathing it in, we could start getting little tropes throughout the next couple scenes of the movie. But like the final shot, I would like to see like a shadowy figure kind of form in that room where I knocked it over, in the window with glowing eyes in it. Something like that. I would love to have that creature established as something, so that if it can move around and for any reason be found by any pedestrians, it can immediately just dispatch of those things.
Okay. Then
I want a stalker moment. I really want stalker
I see the
moments.
shot in my mind. It would be like it's this bedroom setup almost, like very like plain bedroom setup though, and then there's just like that urn of ashes like on the mantle. You go and you do something, you're being negligent, and you accidentally bump it off, and you're like, oh shit. You run outside, and as you shut the door, there's like one of those door mirrors on the back, and you can like see the ash start moving towards the window to get out, and then in the mirror you see like in the ashy smoke the eyes peering out, and it kind of establishes this shadow monster.
Okay. So Salty is shooting Salty Talk 16. We are a little bit big and are looking to shoot on scarier locations.
Can we make it the basement? I feel like the basement's a scary place.
The basement of the house?
The basement's like you cannot go into the basement.
Yeah. I mean, the same thing could still work. There can still be something you could, even if you saw from the outside shot, you could see the eyes going through the bottom window of a basement, or we could still do the mirror shot pretty easily. So yeah.
I like the idea of, instead of confining it to one room, we could do basement, because that also gives us the opportunity to like where it, an elder brain has to where is its lair, so to speak. And then I feel like we could do a really cool...
A basement of a mansion is huge too, so we can hide.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. One of my favorite... This whole talk just spurred... there is a book called... It's either called 3 or it's called 7. I can't remember. But the entire, like, it is a horror book, but it's a Christian horror book, so take from that as you will. And the entire thing plays out in the basement, and the basement is this, like, windy section of, like, turns and passages, and I've always loved that piece of it. Because like a basement, you're underground, you're trapped. There's no windows you can jump out of. It's just you and whatever's down there. And I think there's a cool shot of like there's a fake panel in a dresser, and you end up going through a tunnel, and you find the elder brain, and that's all of its collected memory and power.
So the intro thing would be all that, like establishing all of that. Maybe the first 10 to 15 minutes of the movie would be that. The movie could be my possession and how I go about, like how it slowly takes over me, kind of like a Ring aspect, or like 23 when people go crazy over the number 23, or if you the more like 7 days closer, the closer you get to your 7 days at the end of the Ring, the more like you hallucinate and see things. We could take it in that direction, and then the climax can still be when I get you guys finally to go to the house when we go to shoot Salty Talks. So then we could still have all the comedy fall in between the two very serious parts that will, like, well, the intro doesn't have to be as serious.
And then we can set it up if we want to do the 7 days trope. I don't know if it's a trope or just ripping off of another movie idea. We could do then that there is like a week in between you going and scoping the place out and us actually coming to shoot.
It's almost like a Ring trope now. Yeah, that's essentially what it would be. It would be that 7 days going into it, and like everybody in the audience knows there's something messed up with me, but I don't know what's going on. You guys don't know what's going on, and then this creature could slowly. So like maybe I didn't get enough of it in my system as I slowly learn about this thing, because we should.
It's enough to influence you though.
It's enough to get me to do things, and so I start doing research on this stuff. But like I want it to be stalking us the whole.
And
movie.
I think what we do then, because we have that week's time, there are like, every day, so to speak, or every couple of days, we have to go out and do something to make this happen. And then that's when we see, like you had mentioned, like there's a guy who won't rent us equipment because he's like, no, that house is blah, 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 and blah, 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 blah.
And I want everybody else to be cliche as things. So if we go to a tool store and I want somebody to come out and be like, you don't want to go to that house over there. No, nobody goes back to that house there and then comes back alive. That's a bad house over there. Like, I want all the cliche people in horror movies in this movie.
Okay.
So if that's the guy who won't rent us it, and then his kid turns out to be like 16-year-old Kyle Fuckboy, who will definitely rent us the equipment.
Yeah, man, y'all going down to that there house? Who? I would love it if you just, I don't even know. I would love to see what you get when you come back. Here you go.
Make sure you turn that towards the camera. That's a Kyle marketing brand thing right there. Yeah, that's why you going. Yeah, just we salty big now.
We salty big.
20 people know about us.
Okay, I think that's the basis of a movie.
So we have a basis. We just have to write a script.
We don't have to write a whole script. We're
Not a
just
whole
salty.
script, but we have to write the in-betweens. We also have to write a climax.
So far we've got the haunted house to start.
How are we gonna make? Oh, man is the ultimate monster. Because I am man who's being possessed by a monster. Does that count?
Ooh, I don't know. Man is the
Either that, or we could take
scariest
like the
monster
Saw
of them
6
all.
approach and really shit on healthcare.
Maybe this spirit. Maybe we learn more about this spirit. Maybe you learn more about this spirit as it goes on. Like you said, it's enough to influence you, but not enough for you to be possessed.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you start getting flashbacks of like how this spirit died, and that's how we learn that man is the scariest monster of them all.
Like on some Freddy Krueger shit, it was just burned alive in a boiler room.
Yeah, maybe this person was collected, and now that they've died, they're trying to collect everyone who comes in the house.
Do you not want to be the next person collected? You should probably watch the movie review and find out how to beat those traps.
In fact, you can go watch the movie review right now, because we've got the basis of the movie. On the next podcast, we're gonna do a little bit of deep diving into the script during the little break here, but
We're gonna lay some groundwork.
We've laid the groundwork. Now we just gotta pepper in the cheese.
Those are two different things. One is building a house and one is salad.
Did you hear that Ireland declared that Subway bread is not bread because there's too much sugar
in it?
It's cake.
Dot told me that. Next time on Salty, we're gonna eat Subway cake.
Be sure to like the video, hit that subscribe button, and be sure to come back next week for the stunning conclusion of Oh man, we can't call it Weekend at Salt. Is it just Weekend at Salty's too?
No, well, we could call it Weekend at Salty Stew, and it still might be a prequel. Well, no, because it's not canon. Though I don't know how Weekend at Salty's is freaking.
In addition to the tropes that you can put down below in the comments, if you've got a really good title for this, throw it down there.